What truly defines a great life? Is it success, recognition, or something deeper? Have you ever paused to ask yourself, am I living in alignment with who I really want to be? If you're seeking more than surface-level change, if you're ready to build lasting inner strength and unshakable confidence, then you're in the right place. Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe and join this journey of becoming your highest self. Let's explore the timeless wisdom of Stoicism, not as a philosophy, but as a practical path to inner excellence. 1. Thought is the architect of reality. Every action we take begins in the mind. This is not just poetic metaphor, it's a profound truth. Before you lifted a finger, made a decision, or uttered a word, a thought came first. Thought is the seed from which reality grows. If your thoughts are chaotic, weak, or fearful, then your life will reflect that. But if your thoughts are strong, focused, and purposeful, you begin to shape a reality that mirrors those qualities. The Stoics understood this better than most. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, wrote in his Meditations, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." This isn't just about attitude, it's about transformation. If your thoughts are angry, defensive, or bitter, your spirit becomes tinted with those emotions. If your mind is full of envy, everything you see becomes a reason to feel less than. If you focus on scarcity, you'll experience lack, even in abundance. But the opposite is also true. If you fill your mind with discipline, gratitude, and purpose, your external life begins to align with that inner clarity. A person who practices calmness in thought begins to walk with calmness in life. A person who trains their mind on solutions begins to find answers where others see only problems. This is why Stoicism places so much importance on the inner life. Control your thoughts, and you begin to control your fate. Not in a magical way, but in a very real, practical sense. Your thoughts influence your emotions. Your emotions influence your decisions. Your decisions shape your habits, and your habits create your destiny. Too many people believe that their inner world is private, separate from the real world. But in truth, your inner world is the workshop where your external life is built. You don't just wake up one day with a meaningful life. You craft it thought by thought, moment by moment. You don't stumble into excellence. You think your way there, then act accordingly. So ask yourself, what kind of thoughts dominate your mind? Are they thoughts of blame and excuses, or responsibility and action? Are they fearful and reactive, or composed and focused? Because over time, the dominant patterns in your thinking become the architecture of your reality. You can't always control what happens to you, but you can always control how you think about it. And that makes all the difference. That's the Stoic superpower, not the ability to avoid hardship, but the ability to face it with clarity and courage, shaped by disciplined thought. Train your thoughts like an artist trains their hand. Choose them like a warrior chooses their weapon. Guard them like a leader guards their kingdom. Because your thoughts are not just reflections, they are instructions. And reality follows where your mind leads. 2. Presence isn't just mindfulness, it's mastery. In today's world, distraction is the default. Notifications light up our screens. 1,000 tabs are open in our browsers and in our minds. We're multitasking through life, never fully here, never fully alive. But Stoicism offers us a radical alternative: presence. Not just as a state of being, but as a discipline. Not just as mindfulness, but as mastery. To be present is to engage fully with what's in front of you. It's to command your attention and apply it with force. Whether you're brushing your teeth, speaking to a loved one, or working through a challenge, presence turns the ordinary into the sacred. It transforms routine into ritual. The Stoics knew that every moment is an opportunity to express virtue, to practice courage, patience, humility, and focus. But you can't express virtue if you're not fully present. If your body is in one place but your mind is somewhere else, you're fractured. And that fragmentation makes it impossible to live with integrity. Epictetus said, "Practice yourself, for heaven's sake, in little things, and thence proceed to greater." What he meant was this: how you do anything is how you do everything. The way you approach small moments is a rehearsal for how you will face life's major trials. Are you brushing your teeth with awareness? Are you listening when someone speaks to you? Are you treating today like it matters? Because it does. Life is nothing but a collection of nows, and if you're never fully in one, you'll miss all of them. Presence is mastery because it demands that you take ownership of your mind. It's not passive. It's not simply letting go. It's the act of pulling your focus back again and again to the task, the moment, the breath. Presence trains you to be here now with force and intention. And that's rare. That's powerful. In presence, you find clarity. You notice things others miss. You respond instead of react. You feel grounded in the midst of chaos. This is the essence of Stoic calm, not the absence of action, but the precision of it. Not the avoidance of feeling, but the mastery of it. When you master presence, you begin to experience life more deeply. Food tastes better. Conversations become richer. Work becomes more meaningful. Time stretches because you're no longer sprinting past the present moment. You're walking with it, step by step. So don't just be mindful, be masterful. Don't drift through your days in distraction. Show up, focus, engage, make presence your superpower, and watch as your life transforms one moment at a time. 3. Integrity builds unshakable confidence. Confidence is often mistaken for noise. People confuse it with bravado, arrogance, or showmanship. But true confidence, the kind that doesn't waver under pressure, is built quietly, and it is built through integrity. Integrity is alignment. It means that your thoughts, your words, and your actions are in harmony. You say what you mean, and you do what you say. You don't cut corners. You don't betray your values when things get difficult. And over time, this consistency becomes your foundation. Think about it. How can you feel secure in yourself if you're constantly breaking your own promises? How can you respect yourself if you say one thing and do another? You can't. That inner fracture creates insecurity. And that's why so many people who appear confident on the outside are filled with self-doubt. Their foundation is hollow. But when you live with integrity, you build self-trust. You know that you'll follow through. You know that you'll do the hard thing when it counts. And that knowledge creates a quiet, unshakable power. You don't need to impress anyone. You don't need to fake it. You are it. The Stoics were obsessed with this kind of internal consistency. They believed that the good life was one lived in accordance with nature, and that meant living in alignment with virtue. For them, confidence wasn't about dominance or popularity. It was about self-mastery. It was about being the same person in the dark as you are in the light. When you act with integrity, you start to radiate calm. People feel that they can trust you, not because of what you say, but because of who you are. And more importantly, you trust yourself. That's the real win. That's where true confidence comes from. Integrity also makes your decisions easier. When your values are clear, your path becomes clear. You don't waste energy second-guessing. You don't feel torn. You simply do what is right. And in that clarity, you find strength. But integrity isn't easy. It requires courage. It requires saying no when it's unpopular. It requires holding yourself to a standard even when no one's watching. But the reward is worth it. Because what you gain is something no one can take away, the deep, unshakable respect of the person in the mirror. So build your confidence not on applause, but on action. Not on validation, but on virtue. Let integrity be your armor. Let it be the silent engine that powers everything you do. Because when your life is aligned, when your inner and outer worlds match, you'll walk through this life not needing to prove anything, just being everything. 4. Stillness is the gateway to clarity. In a world that never stops shouting, stillness is a rare and revolutionary act. Everywhere you look, there's motion, notifications buzzing, opinions flying, people rushing from one thing to the next, believing that movement equals progress. But noise is not wisdom, and speed is not mastery. In fact, it's often the opposite. The Stoics understood this long before modern psychology validated it. They weren't detached or robotic. They were centered. While others panicked or reacted impulsively, the Stoic practiced stillness. They paused, they stepped back. They breathed before speaking, considered before judging, and grounded themselves before acting. Stillness wasn't laziness. It was discipline. It was the foundation of power. You cannot make wise decisions from a place of inner chaos. When your mind is racing, when emotions surge unchecked, when you're reacting to every opinion or insult or obstacle, you're not in control. You're being pulled like a leaf in the wind, at the mercy of the moment. But through stillness, you take back your agency. You gain clarity, not because life is simple, but because your mind becomes focused. Stillness gives you the space to think clearly and see honestly. It's where awareness lives. Instead of reacting with fear, ego, or anger, you create the room to respond with calm judgment. You don't need to match the energy of chaos. You need to stand apart from it. Imagine walking into a room filled with shouting voices. Everyone's trying to be heard. The louder someone is, the more noise they create, but rarely the more truth they offer. Then one person enters and says nothing. They stand silently, grounded, and in time, people notice. Their stillness becomes a presence, and their words, when finally spoken, carry more weight than all the shouting combined. That's the power of stillness. This doesn't mean you become passive or indifferent. It means you cultivate control over what controls you. You choose to filter, to center yourself, to act with intention. The Stoics trained themselves to do this through daily practices, journaling, reflection, mindful breathing, voluntary discomfort, all designed to bring the mind back to the present and re-establish sovereignty over emotion. The modern world offers many distractions, but few truths. Social media thrives on outrage and comparison. News cycles are driven by fear. Conversations often favor volume over depth. To move through this landscape with peace requires a kind of rebellion, a rebellion of stillness. It's not flashy. It won't go viral, but it's powerful because it reconnects you to what matters. When you're still, you can observe your thoughts without judgment. You can ask questions like, why am I feeling this? What story am I telling myself? Is this mine to carry, or am I absorbing the chaos of others? You learn that clarity doesn't scream, it whispers. And to hear it, you must quiet the noise inside. Stillness also restores energy. So much of our exhaustion doesn't come from physical effort, it comes from mental clutter. Thinking about things you can't control, replaying arguments, worrying about opinions, trying to predict the future. Stillness clears the debris. It brings you back to the now, where life actually happens. It's in the still moments that you reconnect with yourself. You remember your values. You regain perspective. You realize that not every battle is worth fighting, and not every comment needs a reply. You understand that your peace is your responsibility. And protecting it is not selfish, it's strategic. So how do you cultivate stillness? Start with the basics. Turn off your phone for an hour, sit quietly and breathe. Go for a walk without headphones. Write down your thoughts. Listen more than you speak. Protect your mornings and your nights. Remove one unnecessary commitment. Say no when you need to. Over time, these small acts become a fortress. You'll begin to see more clearly. Not because life is easier, but because your inner world is no longer clouded by unnecessary noise. You'll respond instead of react. You'll move with purpose, and that quiet clarity will become your compass. 5. Choose inner greatness over outer applause. We live in a world that idolizes appearances. Success is often measured in likes, followers, titles, or the applause of strangers. But real strength doesn't announce itself. It's not loud. It's not dependent on public validation. It's internal, quiet, disciplined, and built over time through choices most people never see. The Stoics knew this well. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful men in history, reminded himself daily, "Do not waste what remains of your life in speculating about others. It is not for what others think of you that you do what you do." In other words, live for your own internal standards, not for the shifting approval of others. Inner greatness is not a performance. It's a commitment. It's doing what's right when it's hard. It's choosing to be accountable rather than blame others. It's waking up and doing the work, not because anyone will cheer for you, but because that's who you've decided to be. External applause can be addictive, but it's also fleeting. What people praise today, they might criticize tomorrow. If your worth is tied to the opinions of others, you'll always be chasing. You'll always be adjusting, performing, seeking, and eventually you'll lose yourself. But when you build your identity on inner values, discipline, courage, humility, integrity, you become unshakable. You stop being a puppet for the crowd. You stop needing permission to live with purpose. Growth rarely feels glamorous. It often looks like quiet mornings, honest self-assessments, and hard choices. It means saying no to comfort and yes to discomfort, the discomfort of change, of failure, of facing your weaknesses. But that's where the gold is. That's where character is forged. You don't become great by accident. You become great by aligning your daily actions with your highest principles. You choose virtue over popularity, progress over perfection, humility over ego. These aren't easy choices, but they're the choices that create real transformation. And here's the truth. Your greatest achievements won't be the things the world applauds. They will be the moments no one saw, the times you forgave when you could have resented, the days you showed up when it would have been easier to quit, the nights you sat with your pain instead of running from it, the growth you fought for in silence. It's easy to impress strangers. It's much harder to be proud of yourself when no one's watching. But that's where true greatness lives. Not in the highlight reel, but in the quiet, consistent inner work. This doesn't mean you can't succeed outwardly. It means your foundation is solid. You can pursue excellence, but not at the cost of your integrity. You can build a legacy, but not by abandoning your soul. So ask yourself, what am I chasing? Whose applause am I trying to earn? And what would change if I chose to live for something deeper? When you shift your focus from being seen to being sincere, everything changes. You stop performing. You start growing. You realize that becoming is more important than appearing. The Stoic path is not for everyone. It demands more of you. But it also gives you more: clarity, strength, peace, and freedom from the roller coaster of public opinion. You stop waiting to be validated. You become the one who validates yourself. In a world obsessed with the outer image, dare to build inner greatness. It's the quiet path, but it's the only one that leads to true fulfillment. Excellence is in the everyday. Excellence isn't a destination, it's a practice. It's in how you start your mornings. How you treat people, how you handle setbacks, how you do anything is how you do everything. That's the Stoic path. And if you walk it consistently, you won't just improve, you'll transform. Thanks for being here. If this message resonated with you, subscribe and share it with someone walking their own path to inner excellence. The journey is long, but you're not alone.